It's a time for pick it from China. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because in this video we are going to do a chit chat about the Kinhank handheld game console, also known as the Model K36. It comes with a 640 by 40 IPS panel and having a lithium battery in the inside. So Kinhank, it's that company who made the Super Console game boxes, and I'm guessing they're done with those, so they're getting into the jungle of handhelds to make a little bit more money, because when it comes to handhelds, oh boy, it's absolutely and completely overkill of different devices. But how about the specifications? You can just actually see we're having three colors over here, where I'm getting the translucent purple. I love purple, man. I don't know why I'm always ordering this particular model. So in here we're having the product parameters. So it comes with Linux OS, the rock chip 3326. That means that we're having the GPU Mali G31 MP2. And over here having 1 GB RAM and 8 GB of storage, but we're not going to be actually using that. We're going to be using an SD card. And then we're having the 3.5-inch IPS screen and the 3500 milliamp battery. But let's do a quick look in the inside and see what are we getting today. The Kinhank handheld, I'm just going to be honest, I was not super excited to actually see this, and with a simple reason, or actually for a good reason. So when it comes to, let's say, these devices, we have just seen similar last year or the year before. Many different models, R35, R36, you name it, and many years before they came out all kinds of different models. But there is one thing I find really fun. It is the way how this thing actually look. So, when it comes to these form factors, they are making it really comfortable. However, depending on the size of your hands. And the reason I'm saying it, because when it comes to this device, yeah, you have massive hands, it's going to be not very comfortable. Maybe you can rather buy a landscape model, where I love these Game Boy thingy clones. So if you're going to be holding it like this, I can reach in the buttons and the D-pad fairly easy. However, the D-pad feels quite nice, and the A, B, X, Y buttons, yeah, I must say that, they feel quite nice. I'm always having this wicked test where I'm going to be trying out the buttons. They have very small buttons, and they have a very long travel. Also, the configuration of the buttons are quite interesting and strange, having over here A, B. Is it not like A, B, X, Y? They're also messing stuff like that up. However, it's depending of what you're actually used to. For me, it's messing up event button, select start or micro switch, and 2 joysticks. So this is kind of cool, because I'm a big fan of joysticks, but it's going to be very convenient for certain platforms. Volume over here, we're having some USB-C connections. This is the OTG port, the DC, and the headphone. Having over here the on and off switch, and also a tiny switch for the reset. So let's turn it on. Okay, there we go, having the LED showcases when it is basically charging and having power, reset, and having the SD card. But the SD card quality, it's debatable. Where they sometimes use brands, it's always debatable if this is going to be a good one and will survive throughout the years. The translucent case looks absolutely amazing. So what they're doing with the, let's say, shoulder buttons, having this very nice curve, so you're going to be holding it. You can press it in fairly easy, but all of them are just micro switched. So this is not the best configuration I've seen, but however, it's quite good. You can just see the battery, and you can already see that with a connector, you can just remove the battery if it's going to be, let's say, damaged, or it's basically just out of juice. You can replace it fairly easy. So the display looks kind of nice. Oh, by the way, as I'm talking, it's still booting up. Okay. What is kind of interesting when you're looking at it, there is an extra micro SD slot, but there is not an opening on the case. So that is kind of weird if you ask me. In the meantime, just chatting, it's still on the loading screen. Doesn't do anything. So let's reset this freaking thing to see if this is helping. But before making this video, I have been actually testing it out and trying to do some overall gameplay. But yeah. It would be kind of funny to have the second boot up and it's already fried, because there's a general problem with SD cards nowadays. So when you're getting a product from China, you need to get yourself, let's say, an extra SD card to basically make a backup and flash it to there. But maybe re-enter the SD card. Okay, let's shut it down, wait for the LED turns off. And okay, let's re-enter it. See, there's a non-branded crap again. Let's turn it on again. I'm hoping this will solve the problem. But you know, this is the shenanigans I need to struggle. And I did see a lot of problems with the game sticks and all the other crazy stuff that I've reviewed here on the channel. Oh man. What is positive, we can make a very nice thumbnail like that. Oh yeah. But that's it. After a couple of attempts, I managed to boot it up, but I just wanted to show you as it is. So first of all, when you're looking at the menu, this looks absolutely great. So when it comes to compatibility of this device, yeah, when you're looking into the N64, the same shenanigans you have seen before with different devices. It will not run perfectly. However, when you're looking into, let's say, some other emulation, 8-bit, 16-bit, there is a lot of stuff we can actually play. But we're going to be trying some N64 for fun, just to see what it actually, how far we can push it. But we're living in a time that you can buy such a cheap device with such a great performance, but also, I mean, maybe me, I'm complaining about N64, but you know, when you're looking at, let's say, the overall performance, some systems like Sega Dreamcast, it's quite good. And it's just crazy to see how much, let's say, performance you're getting, or how much like performance for your money. And that is one of the things, but let's get into some gameplay. I will mainly focus on, let's say, some, let's say, high-end system or later systems, because the old stuff will run just fine. Okay, so we're starting off with some PlayStation emulation, and the first game that I was booting up, yep, we're getting an error screen. And this is not something I'm going to be doing on purpose or some kind. No, this is just what is actually happening all the freaking time, something with these images. So let's grab myself a random game again, and let's see if we can actually play. I wanted to try some WWF for some time, but people were asking about it. But let's see, let's try another game. Let's see, oh, yep, and we're getting another error screen over there. So I'm guessing none of them are going to be working at all. So this is so a great situation. Oh, we're off on a great start when it comes to this. Yeah, okay, so I'm thinking the ends, yeah, no, it's just giving an error of some kind. Okay, so this is actually the craziness. Seriously, like every single thing is not doing anything. I think everything is not boarding up. So I'm guessing you need to fix the emulator that's behind it. The question remains, can we even do that? Okay, so the next thing we can do actually is getting into the advanced option. Pressing select, advanced game system. So it was set to auto, I just need to point that out. So let's see what happens if we're going to be putting it on, yeah, let's see, rearmed sometimes. Let's see if there's going to be any luck. So what you can actually do this way is like swapping between emulators. So we're going to be forcing it into a certain emulator and hoping that we can actually boot something up. Normally when it comes to like auto, it should work fine, but yep, here it goes. So yeah, we're going to see anything going on when it comes to the gameplay itself. We did see, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that fixes the issue. But the unfortunate part is when getting into some of the emulators, we don't have a great performance. I've been setting up the frames per second, and I want to be clear when it comes to, let's say, the hardware, it should run PlayStation 1 without any problem. Also the FM button seems not to be mapped over here, so press like the start, we're going back. Okay, so when it comes to overall emulation performance, let's get into some different games like WWF or something kind to see how the overall emulation is. But we can switch between emulators and see if we can manage to fix it. But yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that we need to mess around with it. And later on, I'm guessing when, let's say, some new emulator, let's say updates or emulator like firmware updates come out, they will fix all of these issues. However, I just wanted to check it out and showcase how we can maybe fix it yourself, because that's what happens a lot with these systems nowadays, that we're getting a device, and particularly when you're getting it in the first, let's say, week or so, we had like a lot of problems. However, let's get into some gameplay, just trying different games. WWF is less, let's say, demanding of the system, and maybe it will also run way better when it comes to, let's say, the gameplay itself. So it's now loading. Still running 6057. Yeah, so when it comes to this particular emulator, it seems to be working just fine. So it was like a hiccup. Bloody Roar 2 is a quite difficult game to overall emulate. But with the right emulator, I think it's not going to be an issue whatsoever. Man, this game is so much fun. I've been playing on the Sega 32X a lot, so it's kind of cool. And the 32X version looks kind of good. So let's move on with some PlayStation Portable, a very demanding system, and most of these devices will struggle when it comes to this. We just need to have more power, and you will find it in more expensive handhelds. So also here we had the issue with the red screen. Some games run turbo mode, some will have the problem like this. But the reason I just want to showcase, not to say that this thing is so bad, but just to showcase how far we can push it. Yeah, so this is one thing. But of course, it's just unplayable. But there are many different other games that we can actually use and that will have no problem whatsoever. It's going to be a hit or miss with this, so we can choose all kinds of different games. So let's move on to some other stuff that we can just play fine. So when it comes to N64 and all the craziness, we had problems. But if we're going to be looking into the arcade part, yeah, it runs just fine. So D-pad wise, this thing is very comfortable. I love it. For BMS at least. So later on we're going to be trying out some fighting games. Emulation performance on this is just amazing. And I think there's why you need to buy these devices for. Just some base K-bit, 60-bit stuff. If you want to play some craziness like Sega CD, 32X, you name it, there's so much that can actually be played on this and runs perfectly. And the display on this looks so great. I think the camera doesn't even do it really justice when it comes to that. Such a fun game. Let's see the F1 button. No, also this is not configured. You press it twice to go back to the menu. So the next thing we're going to be doing is playing some Breakers Revenge of the Neo Geo system. By the way, one of my favorite games. It feels more like a Street Fighter Alpha. However, we're going to be testing the D-pad and the analog stick, see how responsive it actually is. So I mentioned before, so when it comes to navigating and the beat 'em ups, it's perfect. So if you want to play fighting games, yeah. So the difference is with some of the... I think the biggest difference we're having with different ones I've reviewed, I know mostly I said like it's bad or not bad, but so when you're going to be feeling this D-pad, it does have a very short travel and makes it really responsive, but also it has a very nice resistance. We did see some glitches over there. Let's see, we can do a turbo mode or a super move. Ooh. Is that a personal handicap? Yeah, it was personal handicap. Beside that, when you're looking at the D-pad, you need to get used to let's say, the resistance of the membranes underneath. But it's quite nice to play. For fighting games, I can really enjoy it. But also the more demanding MAME games run great, or at least good enough to enjoy. So, but take consideration, Killer Instinct is a MAME game that cannot be played on this. Same goes for Tekken MAME. Those games will not run great. Simply because those are just very difficult. And we need the mini PC power to actually get some emulation going on there. What's going on? I'm getting some random input. Yoo-hoo, stop doing that. Okay, thanks. So, that's great that happens when actually making a video. But if you're going to be doing Shoryuken, and that is what I love about, let's say, the D-pad itself. It's very responsive also for this kind of movement. Yeah, I'm really surprised. But getting into some old school gaming, like the PC Engine, what an amazing system it is. I do have the systems and the games, they are so very cool to play. However, so I already mentioned before, D-pad is great. I'm a D-pad gamer. Okay, what was going on there? Okay. So also can use the analog stick if you want to, if you prefer that. For me, this is the best configuration, having the D-pad on this position and underneath the analog stick, because most of the time I don't use the analog stick at all. But yeah, everything seems to be working just fine when it comes to emulation performance, and this is what I meant. If you're going to be going through in different systems, everything runs just fine. Also at F1 button, we need to set it up. So when it comes to the overall performance, it's great, but we do need a lot of tweaking with the software. So where N64 is going to be a hit or miss, there are games that are playable. Let's put it that way. So you can just see the FPS on top. It does really struggle with this, but this is a less demanding game. So let's go into the time trials for fun and let's get into some gameplay. Throughout we're having like 50, 55 frames per second, so no problem there. And you can see some weird glitches, lining, going crazy. But actually going to be into the game itself, you can just see it runs pretty smooth. So it's not like all that bad, where we have like a little bit of a problem with the software, and wouldn't be surprised if we have better software tweaking and stuff going on, that we have better performance with this game, but also with other games. Particularly with this game, we had some problems in the beginning of the menu. Ooh, completely messing this up. Oh. But a great showcase that we can actually play some N64 on such a cheap device. But let's move on into some Sega Saturn. So there is no frame per second counter. maybe later on I can check it out if I can manage to, like say, activate it, but I can already see from the frames a second that this is not running on full speed. It is playable, but not running at full speed. But again, it's absolutely a miracle that we can actually play games now on such a cheap device. D-pad is really smooth when it comes for playing the shmups. I mean, I'm always grabbing to the analog stick, but that doesn't be doing anything. So I'm guessing that needs to be remapped or some kind. But it's still playable and really enjoyable in this way, or at least for me. So it's kind of interesting to see how good it actually works out. Yeah. But when it comes to, like, say, three-dimensional games, there we're going to be having a little bit of a shenanigans going on. Okay, so resolution has been set to 2 times. That is kind of weird, so let's put that to native. That would be giving us a way better overall result. Aspect ratio has been set to regional. And let's see if we can show high FPS. Okay, that's the thing that we're going to have. Okay, so we're having now normal resolution. So here you can actually see that how many frames it's going to be running. And it's not going to be full 60 FPS, even underneath the 50. So it's up to you to choose if this is playable. I was really curious about the overall performance of Sega Dreamcast. We have seen different devices that had great performance. Okay, everything has been configured correctly. But somehow it seems to be having 21 frames, but that is not right. Oh, maybe it is. It is moving. I get the feeling that this device needs a lot of tweaking going on. The Kinhank handheld isn't very good base when it comes to, let's say, comfortability, beautiful display, and overall performance when it comes to the chipset itself. However, we're going to be doing a quick overview, and from my standpoint doing an unboxing, yeah, I must say that I'm quite disappointed with the overall software. That is the biggest problem. So they should fix that the SD card, at least put a good brand in it, because these things are getting corrupted. It's going to be absolutely guaranteed. And of course having like the overall performance of the software. This thing needs a lot of tweaking when it comes to that, and if you're going to be managing to fix it, it's going to be a quite interesting thing to get. However, there's a lot of competition out there. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and it will be great to see you in the next video.